Alright, hello fellow warriors, Prince of Mercury here. So today's video we're going to be talking about martial arts once again. We're going to be talking about a state called flow, which is not specific to just martial arts but can be attained through various practices such as martial arts, or any high performance sports or activity that requires moderate challenge in it. And with this, your cognitive processes are really being pushed to a certain limit. And when you attain this state and are able to maintain it for a certain period of time in which you're practicing whatever activity you're doing, whether it's like you're actually fighting or you're just practicing the art, you will see a noticeable difference in not just the way you fight, but in the way your consciousness reacts during the fight. So one of the things about martial artists is that a lot of times during a fight, they tend to analyze things. They tend to probe for weaknesses or look for rhythms within the opponent, so then they can throw them off balance, right? Like noticing like how their jab works, how their footwork moves, like where they're likely to maneuver, like around the ring or whatever. So in terms of this state of flow, you're really getting into a state now where you have to let all of those kind of behaviors of analysis go to almost that burning flame of the fight itself. And when you do that, you're really tapping into a state where you start to see opportunity in the moment where it presents itself, rather than anticipating or basing your attacks off how the opponent responds. It's almost like you are just in the right place at the right time, and you land that punch perfectly because you are in the rhythm of the fight. It's almost like a piece of music where everything has a harmonious transition between all the pieces of the work. So this is the same kind of concept that applies here in martial arts. So when we're talking about how to implement this, there's various ways that you can do so. One is, I guess, straightforward, just by practicing your art. There's other modalities that you can do which are synonymous with things like increasing brain plasticity. It was actually shown in a study that people who juggle actually are able to increase their brain plasticity. So that's one way. Exercise in general is a great way to increase brain plasticity. Certain foods can increase brain plasticity. The reason why brain plasticity is part of this equation is that as you get older, brain plasticity goes down, which is why some old people in their thinking become very rigid, and they don't like to change their perspectives on things too much, right? As well as what they do in their lives. So, but when you're young, you really want to make sure that you are applying that brain plasticity to things that will overall benefit you, instead of just like burning out the dopamine receptors scrolling on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. Damn, these guys are making a lot of noise today, so I apologize about that. I have no idea what the fuck's going on out here. But in any case, I'm gonna demo essentially what you can do in terms of your like art form, whether that's like boxing, mixed martial arts, etc., to kind of enhance that flow state and really practice it so you can bring it out to the fullest potential. I hope these guys shut the fuck up soon, because it'd be a big help if you guys were able to lock in during this process. So essentially, just get into your form, whatever that is, whatever style you're practicing, whether it's boxing, jiu-jitsu, whatever. You just want to go through your like rhythmic combinations or whatever, and don't consciously think about, okay, like what combination am I gonna throw when. Just kind of play with it, feel it out, have fun with it. one of the states of flow, or aspects of the state of flow, that is really needed to allow that state to develop and essentially express itself, is the ability to let yourself express yourself. And I know that was kind of a bit of a jumbled up sentence, but the meaning behind that is just kind of be playful with it and don't think too much about, like, you know, okay, is it going to be like 1-1-2, or, you know, whatever the combination is, like jab, jab, cross, or whatever. Don't think about that. Just concentrate on how it feels to flow and how the energy is moving around you, because that is really the key to understanding that state. You're dealing with invisible energy which you cannot see, most of the time you cannot touch. Like in a fight, maybe when you make contact, you realize, oh yeah, that punch connected, and it connected well, right? But that is something you notice like pretty much after the fact, where that flow has already been in movement, right? So you're essentially focusing on how it feels to move with that type of state, rather than, okay, what is the result that I'm gonna get out of whatever combination I throw or whatever movement I'm doing. Don't focus on the result will come, but just focus on how does it feel to you as you're in the movement, right? So like if you know you're gonna shadow box, just be playful with it, right? Don't think too much. Back up a bit so you guys can see. So like me, I rarely practice like set combinations now, because like I am somebody who's focused on kind of learning the state of how do you acquire flow, or how do you practice flow in terms of not just your martial arts practice, but in applying that to every other aspect of your life. Flow is a state just like any other state of consciousness that can translate between various states, right? States of activity, states of consciousness. So like even in dreaming, I guess you could have flow state, which would help you enhance things like your ability to lucid dream or astral project or whatever you want to do there, right? Like I can't tell you from experience that I've had that experience, but by the understanding of the state, it's very much possible, right? So even now I'm noticing like in my body still, and like I haven't warmed up or anything, there's like still some tension there when I'm throwing like my jabs. The thing you want to do is be able to release that tension within your body and not command it consciously. Just allow like the subconscious mind to take over and sense that energy in the field. The thing is that we don't realize about life most of the time, and even if we do realize it, a lot of the time we don't understand it in its full capacity, that the subconscious mind already knows and understands all the information that is being processed in the environment. It's almost like when you have a synchronicity or something, that's the conscious mind and the subconscious mind sending messages between each other so that they can understand that there's something going on. It's the same thing when you tap into this kind of state. It's that they're talking to each other and they're understanding that the information that you're perceiving in the environment essentially is already understood by the subconscious mind. So it basically means that there could be something in the environment that your eyes cannot see, but your subconscious mind already understands that it's present. It's just that you have the perception that you will not recognize or notice that thing until you get physical sensory perception of it, which is a thing, like, and that's why a lot of people say like, oh yeah, my intuition told me this would happen or whatever, right? It's because there is no logical explanation to a lot of this phenomenon, besides that, like, maybe science would describe it as that you're sensing the electromagnetic energy in the field, but because the senses or have programmed or society has programmed the mind into thinking that if you don't see something with your physical two eyes, means it hasn't transpired or whatever, right? So, and of course, like, sometimes your intuition is, like, I wouldn't say off, but is up to interpretation in terms of the meanings that are transpiring around it. But in something like where you're just sensing energy in the field, like somebody's presence or something like that, it's usually spot on, right? You can sense those kind of things right away, right? So, but it's the conditioning that we have that says that, oh yeah, it doesn't make sense that you would be in a state where you acknowledge this piece of information if your senses didn't pick it up or see it, right? Even though the other senses that are not physical can detect that. So, like in, I guess, new agey culture, they would call it like clairsentience, right? The ability to sense things without like actual physical perception of it yet. So I guess this goes into a lot of things like ESP and whatnot, right? Where you can sense energy before it's actually present in some sense. So, but it's all about flow, and it's all about vibration. Can you tap into that radio signal in which that information is located on, the frequency in which it rides? Yeah, the most difficult part is actually applying power to the state when you're practicing martial arts, because you're still trying to command your body consciously for attacks, but the whole state of flow is releasing all that energy and just allowing it to, like a wave, just crash, you know? Like Bruce Lee used to say, be like water. Water can, it can flow or it can crash. And they used to say, be like water, my friend. This is why, because this is the primary quality to this state. So, and remember, water can be like super smooth, it can be still, or it can cut through rock, right? Over a long enough time period. So, this is the essence of how the state really comes into affecting things, right? And like flow is not just something that's related to only one element, it's related to all the elements. Bruce Lee just like took that analogy because it's the most straightforward in terms of, well, like in the ocean, there's waves and they flow and crash, and flow is, well, I guess mirrored in the term of flow state. So, but you can really attain that state or that quality with connecting to any of the elements, whether that's earth, water, fire, wind, etc. So I think that one of the aspects to this state is broadening your mind and realizing that you should allow your mind to go beyond its conventional preconceived notions of how the way the world works. Because the cosmos is a lot more complex place than any of us will really be able to understand. And because we are a part of that system, right? You can't take something that is inside a box and then explain the whole box from that piece. It just doesn't work that way. It's like having a full equation and then trying to explain the whole expression of the equation with only one piece, right? You can't do it. So this is the kind of essence of the cosmos, right? It's not saying that you shouldn't attempt to understand things or contemplate things or whatever, but You know, there's an old saying that thinking is really just for fun, that you already have all the answers within you. So, and that's why a lot of people trumpet things like meditation, or it's very much about like calming and stilling the mind and listening. So, because like the cluttering of thoughts is not the same as your intuition, or that state of divine consciousness that is trying to give you that actual answer, right? Even though there is no one right answer, it really depends on your perspective and, you know, what the story you've chosen is attempting to be. But see, that punch was a bit more in flow. I wouldn't say it was perfect, but it was more in the sense where you can feel the transition with both sides of the consciousness, the conscious and the subconscious. So really, again, this is not about having perfect form or, you know, having your moves perfect or anything like that. It's about feeling the rhythmic pattern of your body and allowing yourself to get comfortable with the idea that you're not doing things correct and you're not doing things incorrect. You're attempting to sense the rhythmic flow in the field. And this is why martial arts is so pivotal to a concept like self-expression, because self-expression is really based on that concept that like there is no success and there is no failure, right? So it's all about how you've chosen to express your energy, right? You're taking a concept like flow, which is based on non-duality or non-dualistic conscious perception, and then you're attempting to integrate human concepts of duality into that, like, oh, success, good punch, bad punch, whatever. But those things are just based on perception, right? Somebody could look at your punch and be like, oh yeah, that was a great punch, and then you know it didn't land, and you're thinking like, well, in my perspective, that wasn't really a great punch. So, but in essence, that's what you want to attempt to integrate into your mindset. And the thing is, like, it is very much like a state that is somewhat fleeting, and where you tap into it and you're suddenly in flow and everything's going perfect. And then once you're not in that state anymore, it's like you lose the ability to tap into that aspect of intelligence, right? Or should I say consciousness. So it's something that comes and goes, just like the tides. So you just have to be mindful of, like, you know, what have you practiced that actually helps facilitate that flow, right? Or helps facilitate that movement, right? So it's not so much a lot of the times about physical things as much as it is about how can I connect with my body and understand and integrate all the pieces of my ego and shadow back into the self, so then I see things in a state of non-duality. And when you see things in a state of non-duality and lack of separation, you're really tapping into that state. So I know it sounds like a lot of third eye stuff actually when you start to contemplate it, but I think the reason why that is because you're really taking the higher divine consciousness and aligning it with the lower animal consciousness or instinctual consciousness. So but yeah, that's why I think, like, for me anyway, I feel like boxing is one of the most important martial arts, just because I would say out of all the martial arts, it's the one that has the highest aspect of rhythm to it. So if I was to counsel anyone to pick up a martial art before any of the others, it would always be boxing. So I'm very fortunate that I just happened to pick that one up first when I was 16 years old. But again, like, you can really achieve that state regardless of whatever martial artist practice. It doesn't matter. But for me, I just see a lot of connection between that. So, and again, it's all about your perception. If you can make something resonate in the sense of whatever you're attempting to connect to, like, I don't know, it could be yoga you use to facilitate flow state, right? And that could be almost a substitute to whatever you're doing with like martial arts or whatever, right? So again, it's really based on your perception of if you feel you're getting the same result that you desire to achieve out of that, or if you're merely in almost a state where you're attempting to create the flow but something is missing. So, and that's really where the type of practice that you're doing comes in and how you perceive that practice. Again, if you can perceive it in a way to make it work for you, then you have arrived. So yeah, that's done a couple little movements there. Let's see if we can put it all together, shall we? So remember, concept should be that you let everything go. There's no proper movement, there's no incorrect movement. There is just you and the field and your expression. This is a practice. I don't skip rope, but this is something I like to do in I guess supplementation of that. Just do the same movement, do it without the rope. Remember, it's not about perfect movement, it's about expressing yourself. That's what all the great martial artists talked about, that martial arts is a form of self-expression. And what I started to realize, when I picked up martial arts or picked up boxing at 16, I did not see it in that light. It's only over time that I started to realize that martial arts is not so much fighting, or any of the martial arts are not so much about fighting as much as it is about self-expression. Expressing the body to achieve whatever end your consciousness is focused on. Whether that's winning a fight, or moving energy around your body, moving pranic winds around your body, or whatever. That is the main end that you have to find within yourself. So for me, it became more about the latter, a way of maneuvering or allowing the life force to flow in the body so that you can facilitate states like this, right? Remember, anything that involves movement is a form of what is known in spirituality as transmutation and alchemy. And remember, alchemy is not some fairy tale. They used to study that in the Renaissance times. You know, Isaac Newton, the guy who bumped his head on the apple and became one of the founders of physics and creating the three main laws that he came up with. Gravitational law, force equals mass times acceleration, and every action has an equal opposite reaction. Yeah, that guy, he was practicing alchemy.
because all of the scientists used to take it as a serious craft at that time. But what we are talking about now is internal alchemy. So, alchemy created by your spirit, your will to do battle, your divine will of the self. So, that is essentially what I have for you today. I'm not going to make this video any longer than it needs to be. Yeah, so that's pretty much the state of flow as well as I can explain it. Let me know if you guys enjoy these videos outside in the backyard. I often record a lot of these, but I don't end up uploading them just because sometimes they don't rate as high on the algorithm as the more niche concepts that I've done for this channel, that being Sword of Mercury. If you are somebody who has found this page due to my other channel Moonstruck, then welcome. I encourage you guys to check out that podcast Moonstruck. I actually, if you guys are interested in anime, I've actually done a video on Goku's Ultra Instinct, the Awakened One's new Ultra Instinct, and really how that flow state and conscious energy translates into the field, and how we can see it described in something similar to, it's kind of like a pyramid elaboration that is similar to Maslow's hierarchy pyramid, but it's more so for consciousness. So I encourage you to check out that video if you are interested in flow states at all. It's called Ultra Instinct. So you can check out that video over on Moonstruck. Let me know if maybe you guys want me to do a more original style of this video where I just sit and talk in front of the whiteboard as normal. Let me know if you guys enjoy this style of video, or I'm actually up and demonstrating and outside with you guys. I encourage you guys to like and subscribe to the channel. Share this video with anybody who's interested in flow or conscious states, which can enhance their progression in things like martial arts or any other, style of exercise or self-expression, as we would put it. And yeah, that's pretty much all that I have for you today on the Sword of Mercury. Or the Sword of Mercury. So once again, it's brought to you by the Prince of Mercury. Yeah, I think that's all I have for you guys today. I already said like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video, and I will link all my links to any social media in the description below, so make sure to check that out. And I will see you guys in the next video.